Hi, my name is Douglas V. Gibbs, Mr. Constitution. And in light of a recent raid that happened with the FBI, this is a video to kind of answer that question. Article 1, Section 8, the U.S. Law and how it would be executed. I did do a longer video on my other video channels. This is a shorter version and more in line with Constitution study, the actual classes. So this YouTube page is the only place where this particular video will be in addition to my BitChute page. The other video is on my other YouTube page at youtube.com/DouglasVGibbs, my Rumble channel, and my Brighteon channel. Welcome, and let's talk about what happened and what's going on. The question is constitutionality when it comes to things such as what we saw at Mar-a-Lago. And the answer really comes down to this. Not whether or not what they did was unconstitutional, but if it was constitutional for that agency that performed that function to even exist in the first place. Basically, what's going on here's the question. Let me back up a little bit, give you a little bit of background. So the federal government was created to handle limited authorities, external issues that have to do with the country. Unlike a national government which handles everything, a federal government has specific authorities only for the external issues that are basically for the union. So war, peace, trade, maritime law, immigration, naturalization, the intellectual properties of its citizens, the mail, and things like that, postal service, things like that. So in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, the original 7 articles that was written in 1787, there's a list of authorities that's given. And it includes taxation, the ability to borrow money, commerce with foreign nations, to put in good order commerce between the states. In other words, handle disputes that happen between the states. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization, uniform bankruptcy laws, the money, post offices, the Copyright Office, the Patent Office, tribunals other than the Supreme Court, this is the Circuit Court, the District Courts, maritime law, more specific, it says to define, punish piracies, felonies committed on the high seas, and offenses against the law of nations, to declare war, anything has to do with that. So it has the military, armies, navy, make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, provide for and then it gets into the militia, and this is where we need to stop here. So as we're going through Article 1, Section 8, and we're asking ourselves, well, gosh, how does the federal government operate based on what its authorities are? Its authorities are in here, but what we've noticed is almost all of its authorities are either external, dealing with other countries, or acting as a mediator between interstate squabbles, disputes, things like that. Or, like postal, where, you got the communication among the union, all that stuff. But otherwise, domestic issues, or as Federalist 45 by James Madison says, issues regarding the internal order and the improvement of a state is up to the states. 10th Amendment, if it's not given to the federal government, it's not prohibited to states, it's a state issue. So the federal government's very limited. So, first of all, there's not supposed to be many domestic laws or federal laws that would be needed to be executed inside the borders of this country. Because the states handle their business, not the federal government. Now, that said, matter of fact, Article 1, Section 4, it says that Congress shall meet at least once per year. And when that came up, there were those there in the convention actually argued that was too often. Once per year? Well, unless we're at war, what are we going to do? I've got a farm to keep, a store to keep, a farm to manage, a profession to take care of, or whatever. And so powers are limited. Spending was limited. We wish. And so here we go. Now, but if there are laws internally, taxation maybe, then how is it executed? Well, according to Article 1, Section 8, it says that Congress shall have the power to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union. The militia is supposed to be the arm that executes any federal law that's inside the United States. There's not supposed to be an FBI, an FDA, an ATF, and all of these. Internal issues, none of their business. Federal government has no authority over internal issues for the most part. But if there's going to be any laws that are constitutional and will be inside the country, then the militia is tasked with executing the laws. Congress calls up the militia. Executive branch then deploys the militia. Great example, Whiskey Rebellion. Whiskey Rebellion was regarding attacks on whiskey that, the lower grade whiskey that was being bartered, and it became a big deal. And so George Washington showed up to take care of the situation, and he brought the militia with him. Congress called up the militia. Different situation than having a bunch of ATF agents or IRS agents or military. It changes from being this overpowerful federal government dictating to you to using the militia, which is your neighbors, fellow citizens, and they say, hey man, I'm doing this for the president. They called us up, but we don't want trouble. I know it feels like this is not the right thing. There's ways to stop it. Let's vote the people out of office, so on and so forth. It's a whole different dynamic. So Article 1, Section 8, militia, 24 states have militias. Well, it should be all of them. State militias go back to the same militias that fought the Revolutionary War, the same militias that were ready to fight at other times. Militias that protected the communities. And when we say militias, we don't necessarily mean military units. These are communities. These are people that come together to say, hey, we want safety in our community from foreign invaders, foreign influences, and potentially tyrannical federal government. So we're going to have these meetings with our sheriff. Sheriff is commander, local county commander-in-chief of the militia. And that's one of the things that they argued in the Virginia Ratification Convention. When they were looking to ratify the Constitution in Virginia, they talked about this stuff. So, now let's get back to our raid. Should the raid have happened? I don't know. I don't know what the warrant said. I don't know all the details. My gut says it shouldn't have. My gut says it was all for political reasons. It's political theater, tyrants, so on and so forth. And you got Scott Perry, representative from the House of Representatives. The next day has his phone taken from him. They could have contacted his lawyer and said, hey, we need your phone. Let's arrange this. No, they just walk up to him. We're taking your phone. Right? This is the secret police style that we have now with today's FBI under today's administration. But anyway, so should the FBI even exist? No, there's no constitutional authority for it. There's no constitutional authority for a law enforcement arm for the federal government. There's no constitutional authority for them to have almost all of the departments that they have and agencies they have. There's only a limited amount of authorities. This isn't Teddy Roosevelt's or Woodrow Wilson's America where they think that unless the Constitution says they can't do something, they can do whatever they want. 10th Amendment powers are delegated to the federal government. And if they're not delegated, they don't have the authority. There's no authority for an FBI. FBI shouldn't exist in the first place. As for going after a former president like this, really? Is that what we have become? Is that the type of tyranny we are becoming? So to answer the question real quick again, was the raid constitutional or unconstitutional? Yes, it was unconstitutional, not necessarily because of what happened and how it happened, but because the organization, the FBI that carried it out, is an unconstitutional agency in the first place. They should not exist. United we stand, combined we kick butt. God bless America, my friends. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.